So here's the thing. Before we start, um, I already sort of the title I've already seen. Um, so I guess I could say this. First thing, just from title alone, and this is why it worries me about like trying to avoid stuff like this, is because I automatically thought a couple of things. The title is like the beginning of something is what that word means, and so my thought process was immediately like, oh my gosh, the beginning of something. So then it's when we talked about it last time, you guys saw a theory video, Xenoblade video, just to recap. There were three things that I said were potentially going to happen. One was they were gonna do Xenosaga Remaster, which I know currently that's off the table, which eventually I really do think that's gonna come. Or two, they could do a prequel, or three, they could do something completely after Xenoblade 3, right? So I said those were the one of the three potential things that I thought was gonna happen, right? So, since I've seen the title, I now think it is a prequel, and it's probably something that happens that leads up to something institutional. So that would be like Klaus and the scientists, or research of something, or some sort of institution or something. And so off the title alone, it sort of makes me think that it's like a piece that lands before um, the Lost Jerusalem arc, which is what I refer to as Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 as. So I'm going to watch from here, and based off the name alone, that's what I think when my mind wanders. But it might not be that. So just throwing that out there at the beginning, since I already know the title now at this point.
Nintendo Switch 2 editions of these
That's so crazy.
games are incoming.
They're like, let's just do all three. Let's just do all three at once.
All three games run at 60 frames per second.
Wow.
In TV mode, or
I hope
HD
it's better than the
handheld
Xenoblade
mode.
X one.
In-game cutscenes also have enhanced resolution and frame rate.
Well, we didn't get Xenosaga Remastered, but we got Cosmos
Not
Remastered.
only that,
We got Cosmos Remastered.
but you can
Hoppity
travel
hop.
high-speed vehicle
Oh my
in the
gosh,
first
did they
game.
record lines for that? That's so funny.
Control blades to
Oh,
fight mercenary
we can
squads
play as
to the
Cosmos! What? Can we play as Cosmos?
and put your strength to
That's
the test
okay.
against waves of enemies in the third.
Okay, that's, we sort of did something like that.
There's also a variety
Right?
of other content
Is it
added to
really?
each of the three games.
Wow,
More
heart
details
to
will
heart.
be revealed
Now
in
they're
a
trying to,
later date.
wow, they're trying to make me revisit them all, aren't they?
The
New
digital
voice.
version
Wait,
of
wait,
Xenoblade
wait. Shut up, shut up, shut up.
More
Look right here.
details
No,
will
no,
be
no, no,
revealed
stop.
At a later date.
Look, right here, this. Newly voiced event scenes, new hero and hero quests. So I'm gonna have to revisit them all because they're adding stuff. I mean, obviously they're adding them, but I thought Xenoblade 2 would at least get definitive. No, you would think it would at least get a definitive edition, because that's the only one that isn't, right? The massive plant. The massive plant.
The digital version of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition,
Wow.
and the upgrade pack will be
I have to
available
buy
later
physical
today.
versions
The
too.
physical
It's alright
version
though.
launches on July 30th.
It's okay. That just means
The
they get
Nintendo
more money
Switch
from me,
2
which they would
editions of
anyway.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be
July
available on the dates
30th?
shown on screen.
Wow. So one now, July 30th.
Three Xenoblade Chronicles
And
games
three?
are getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions.
That's
New
crazy.
features will be added to each title.
Oh,
so
new
we
features.
hope
So
you'll
maybe
check
they
them out.
will upgrade Definitive Edition for 2.
And a
Maybe.
new story in the Xenoblade series is about to begin.
Maybe?
Here are some early moments from the game.
I'm so excited. Early moments. You know they have a long trailer. Who's Monolithsoft kidding?
アニマは世界の源である。
Anima! Anima!
火も
Oh my gosh. Anima as in like
世界を構成するそのすべては大地を流れるアニマが形を変えたものだ。そして戦いを決するのはいつもアニマとその力を自在に振るう騎士だった。
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。
Oh, Jin. Where's Jin when we need him?
ユーコス
Where's
その
Where's
意志
any
は
sword
アニマ
fighter?
書籍騎士の力を
the vessels of Anima then, right?
そのものの行動や思いも刻みますこれからのあなたの学院生活のすべてが
Yeah, see, an institution. See? Institution is a prequel. That's so crazy. Oh, old school. We've done futuristic. Now we're going backwards, right?
なんとなく分かった気が
Mounts.
騎士って人殺しの職業で奪われた側はどう思うんだろうな。
真実見つけてみない
信仰を失った人に
Wow.
ドラゴンの炎で浄化することで罪が贖われる。
田舎貴族の限界を教えてあげる
Oh, we've got our Ojo-sama.
証跡なしで騎士の力。
生と死すべてはアニマと共にある。
帰るのさ、あの場所に。
さあ始まるわよ。兄上行ってまいります。
ここは6つの太陽に照らし出された大地。
Wow.
人々は知ることになる。破れた神の恨みが未だ晴らされてはいないこと。
Oh, is it a Xenoblade X prequel? Because Fallen God, right? Wouldn't that be? Wow. Yeah, and the Six Sons. We know who the Six Sons are. It's a prequel. It's not a prequel, but it's in between. Wait, what's the date? Next year. It's,
Xenoblade Genesis marks a new beginning.
we know Xeno.
what
It
kind
is a
of story
prequel.
do you
Well,
think
no,
would
it's
be
not.
cool?
It is, but it isn't.
Please look forward to future updates.
So here's the thing about Xenoblade, right? It is, but it isn't. So it's an explanation and technically a prequel of anima and vessels, and that sense it's gonna be. And it's also an institution, which is funny because that's what I think when I think of Genesis is it's about research of that. Right, exactly. And so they dropped Chronicles, exactly. So no, I think it does. I just think that Chronicles was the moniker of a chronicle of Klaus and researchers. And so I think that they're talking about those are the stories of the chronicles of what happened to Lost Jerusalem. So Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 were like basically the arc of the chronicling of what happened to Lost Jerusalem. Putting that aside, after that would then be Xenosaga in timeline, right? After Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, and potentially X, because we don't know where X falls. This lies before, sort of. Right. So this is why I say it's a prequel, but it's not. It's probably a prequel to the concept of anima, but not a prequel to the concept of Xenoblade. So it's going to be this tricky place of where is it going to fall? Is it going to fall in the place of after all the worlds combined, and this is later on in the history of the combined world, or is it going to fall in the place before? That's sort of where Hey Sifu, that's sort of where I don't know where it lands. Right, but conceptually, it would be focusing on anima and the research of that, which is eventually there's scientists, right, in the world of Xeno. So I think that it's something like that. They did mention
Xenoblade Genesis marks a
they did mention if we can go back, and I want to sort of do an analysis after, but I want to see the rest of the direct. But at the same time, this is really important.
early moments from the game.
I'm gonna just sort of go step by step as we're going through this, right? Because so seaside town, which is interesting because we haven't had like a seaside town. So this is what's interesting is the world is curved. So when you look at the horizon of it, it's like wrapped, right? It's not sky. It's sort of like rounded. Yeah, it's gonna be really good, but
火も風も世界を構成するそのすべては大地を流れるアニマが形を変えたものだ。そして戦いを決するのはいつも
I
ア
sort
ニマと
of feel like because Veseli is sort of like Warzone is Veseli are the people that wield anima, but it feels like you also we obviously know who the stars are. But the reason why I bring it up and I thought Genesis brought to mind research was because I think in 3, right, it's briefly discussed about the research of how the sword came to be. Like when they dropped that big lore, right? Just on the side, and it wasn't even in the main story. I think it was just like a little clip, and Riku was like, "Oh, here's the stars," and how the anyway, Riku went into this whole side discussion, right?
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。ここがリューコス。
It's so interesting because what's especially interesting about this is we haven't had a this kind of setting, but see at this school, so this is why I sort of am not sure, because I always, when we talked about Yuriev in Xenoblade 3, I always believed that aside from jumping, right, like body jumping, I always felt like he had to research these things because he was desperate to learn about the vessels of anima and Udu and all these things, right? And so I always believed that he jumped through different civilizations to cultivate people to research these things, because it's one thing to do it on your own and have a longer lifespan, but it's another to utilize a whole bunch of people to accelerate and expedite that process. So I feel like what we're going to learn is that the person involved in doing these might be connected into the scientists that then harness that later. But I mean, even if it's after, right? Or depending on where X lands, I don't know. It could be separate altogether. It's just, I always feel like nothing is separate. I always feel like there's a certain hidden something with lore that we don't see until towards the end of the game, right? We go through the whole entire thing. It feels completely separate. You know, Xenoblade 3 didn't feel like it had any connection, and then bam, it slaps you in the face. So like, I don't count it out. But to me, it's, what I'm thinking is that this sort of all leads to something, you know? Oh, really? Interesting. So Mitsuda, okay. I wonder why that change is. That's got to be intentional too. See, they mentioned dragons and stuff, and I wonder if they would mention other things at the institute, like studying. Like, what are they studying? And telethiagnosis, anima, like, you know, like you don't know. And I think that's why it's a little bit more interesting. I know people are like, oh, school setting, typical JRPG. I know that I'm going to hear a whole bunch of people say that because they're not as involved in Xeno as we are. But for those who are, conceptually, while it seems like every other game, it's not, because in the setting of Xeno, like in the Xenoverse, in an academic background, those are the places where you can generally learn a lot more. And Xeno's always had like an academic background, like Shion, or studying like reality and maintenance, or like the sciencey part of Xeno is where they're really strong at. So I feel like an academic setting is an asset to a game like this, because you can delve into a lot of things. Like if they make you attend classes or learn about different aspects and mechanics of the world and of the universe. We also know that through Xenoblade, like Xenoblade 2, and the cores and everything, we learn a lot from the world and where each title falls into place by studying the mechanics of that world. So yeah, it's really interesting in that aspect. Yeah, probably. It's so there's so much, right? See, and the six stars we already know. We know. I mean, that's the thing, we don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of things that we don't know about. So I mean, there could be a lot of crazy things, like I know it's crazy and off-reaching, but we always do hilarious with like our off-brand, like insane theories, right? This could be inside the Damarung, and we don't know because we've never seen fully inside the Damarung, even though it looks like futuristic in a way. This could have been the beginning of the Damarung, and inside the six suns are the core that power the Damarung. You know, you don't know. Well, we know what powers the Damarung, right? Because it vanishes. But I'm just saying, like, we don't know where this actually is. We don't know if this is an actual planet, if it's like a orbital station, if it's like we don't know anything about technically where this place is, right? Because when Xenoblade #1 Xenoblade Chronicles came out, it wasn't Bionis Mechonis, right? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? So
破れた神の恨みが未だ晴らされてはいる。
and that's the thing, is it says the vengeance of a fallen god had yet to been fulfilled, and that's tough because that implies like 3 different people, 4 different people in the Xenoverse, right? That's really hard to be like, yeah, right? The ship behind the dragon. Let's take a look. Where's the dragon at? Where's he at? I know I saw him fly by here a second ago.
その石はアニマ小石。騎士の力を増幅させるだけでなく、そのものの行動や思いも刻みます。これからのあなたの学院生活のすべてがその石と共にあると思ってください。
今日の訓練は実践を想定してのものだ。
力の使い方、なんとなく分かった気がする。
It's hard because there's little things.
奪われた側はどう思うんだろうな。
真実見つけてみない？
Oh, see? Yeah, see? Also, there's at the base of it, there's a facility down below at the base of it, too. We just say that's the Xenogears ship. Let's not even talk about those ropes that we had to swing on. See, and there's also a tower right next to the bird. There's a huge tower as well. You can see on the continent to the left of his wing. That way, I think is where I'm pointing. I think it's. But there's also another structure up there as well. Yeah. The music's fantastic though. Wow.
全てはアニマと共にある。
帰るのさ、あの場所に。
We have our new odd creature design.
さあ、始まるわよ。
And I will mention this, there's always, in the last few Xeno games, well, in the last few games, this has been a thing, right? So, aside from the core system, in Xenoblade 3 we had the flutes, and now we have this, and they're all forms of sending information somewhere, right? And so, whatever happens, whether it's a person passing or a blade, like whatever the situation is, this has always, at least recently, been a thematic thing of like, let's send this somewhere, right?
兄上、行ってまいります。
ここは6つの太陽に。
And then there's 6. Yeah, so I mean, it's very tricky to place where it is. They always do this with the trailers though. Like we know these keywords, right? We know like vessel eyes, technically, like and we know anima, and we know the stars. There's like all these connections, but it just never rolls out until the end. But we all sort of like to, you know. I mean, yeah, it's hard because that's what we sort of discovered in Xenoblade X, right? In the extra content for that. So it's like, well, where did they end up after that? So everybody went somewhere, right? The planets joined. We assumed at the time it was Lost Jerusalem. We assumed that Cosmos was coming through. People are saying that it was the white whale showing up on that planet. but both can also happen. So I know that people debate over that a lot, but like both can happen. That star could have been Cosmos, and also the white whale could have landed somewhere too. So it's not like they're like one or the other or both or whatever. We haven't had any type of confirmation of like these two separate events being one and the same, plus the merging of the worlds, right? So we can't make that assumption. But I feel like if this is ending up being like a prequel to something or some sort of something, obviously Genesis is beginning of something. So whether it's a prequel to the game or whether it's after 3 and beginning something anew, either way though, I think they originally said that Klaus's portion was done. So I mean, he might not completely be gone. It just might be like the main focus may not be that. So at this institution, they may learn about things like, you know, anima and these crystals, and they may learn about certain principles and mechanics of their universe, and all the educational system will tell a lot about this game, as far as what they decide to do with the institution. And they always love doing that kind of stuff, because Xenosaga had the Xeno Bible, right, where you go in and read everything in the database. Like there was always this plethora of information in Xeno games and lore, and that you often look in. But it was more textual in the PS2 and older games. So again, I think we'll learn a lot through this school life. So while people normally wouldn't be excited about like, oh, Persona does this and other people do this, it's not in the context of Xeno. Xeno is very different in how important that is that you learn, right? Like what you learn is lore-wise is so important for later. I'm so excited about it. I mean, that's a possibility as well, but look at that. And so as anybody points out in every Xeno logo, look at they always have some sort of like something that gives a hint, and in this case we have the anima energy along all of the, I would assume it's the anima energy along across the logo. Jeez. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's obviously connected. It's just not in the sense of like Chronicles. Chronicles is pretty much like Lost Jerusalem story and Klaus and Yuriev and all of them. So like that's like a, but like I said, I mean, we don't know if this has any connection to anything yet. But we'll see. I'm excited. I'm so excited about it. But yeah, next year. And in the meantime, because we were supposed to be this year going through all of Xenosaga on stream, and I'm re-recording the whole entire series in prep for the anniversary next year. But this means now we need to go back and visit all versions of Xenoblade again for the extra content. So we're going to probably be doing streams for Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 just to see the extra content and put that out there, just because I'm curious of what new stuff there is. So
Xenoblade Genesis
that's
marks
crazy.
a new beginning. What kind of story do you think will be told?
I explained all that
Please
already.
Look forward to future updates.
But yes, I also wonder.
Please take a look at this.
I haven't played it yet. Xenoblade. Yes, so to point this out, see how they all say Xenoblade is not in Japan. There's no Chronicles. So like that's why I think it's funny that people are like they drop Chronicles off the title. Yes, but it was never a thing in any Japanese version until they brought it over. So technically I consider Xenoblade Genesis as like a part of the series still. So just a note for those who aren't familiar with the Japanese version. I will have you note this, by the way, which I didn't bring up before. The stars in the sky increase in number. So if you look here, there's 5, right? And then there's a big one. There's a 6th one that's the big orange one, but there's only 5 there. Yeah.
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。ここがリューコス。
その石はアニマシ
See, when they say Lyukos, it sounds like Ryukos, which is like Land of Dragons. Like not Land of Dragons, but like it's like Ryu, R-Y-U, like Ryukos. Like it's written like this. But I know that they stuck to Latin, right? So like maybe that's what they mean something else. But it's Ryukos is what it is. But they always have the reasons for that kind of thing. That's like minor.
その石はアニマ小石。騎士の力を増幅させるだけでなく、そのものの行動や思いも刻みます。これからのあなたの学院生活のすべてがその石と共にあると思ってください。
Her Momo looking self.
今日の訓練は実
She
践を
looks like
想定
Momo.
してのものだ。
she look like Momo. You mean this here?
騎士の力を増幅させるだけでなく、そのものの行動
That
や
looks
思
like
いも刻みます。
yeah, that little ice
これから
crystal.
のあな
Hold
た
on. This is a step back.
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。
Okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, it's so hard because like when you go through these trailers, it's like when you first react, it's so hard, and you have to go through and you have to look through everything. You have to notice everything. Yeah, and it's like you have to go through and you have to analyze it, right? So like when we think in context, and I sort of mentioned this before, like Amalthus, Yuriev, all these people, right? You think about all these symbols and things that you see that are similarities, but the problem is you don't know if this institution stems from something that's already existed or if it is the starting point of something that is to come. Because again, it's Genesis, so it's the beginning of something. So whether they mean the beginning of something new or whether they mean this is the beginning of that Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 Lost Jerusalem arc, you know what I mean? Like that's always the question. there's no real right.
その石はアニマ
No, I mean I don't disagree with you, and again that's why I think it takes place in a school. Like contextually, people don't understand that. Like as I mentioned before, this is probably something that Yuriev goes around doing, establishing these places to research these things. In this case, this would be the research facility for anima and the concept of what anima is, right? Because Yuriev is one man. While it has a long lifespan, he needs other people to research things. So this could be the ending result of the precursor of what is the power of anima, and in context of a piece of his research, which he then uses as the vessels of anima, which is why they're called vesseli. Again, I agree with you. I think it's something like that. I know it's crazy, and it's hard because it's like they allowed Pied Piper to happen, right? So apparently, Xenosaga is not off the table, right? Even though Valak and all of us, everybody at Vector Translations pitched in and Keitai Wiki, and we discovered that a year before the official release. Despite that, I still feel like this is a precursor to the eventual remaster of Xenosaga, and we might be jumping the shark, but I've been pretty good about, I've been pretty good about guessing, right? Well, it is, but remember when we did the video about the licensing for Xenosaga that happened, that got leaked, and then I was like, this is totally the DLC for Xenoblade 3, and no one believed me, and I had the receipts, and it was true. That's what it ended up being, right? Even when Alker did a playthrough and she's like, he's gonna lose his freaking mind. I have that clip, you know what I mean? It doesn't, but it's not off the table because they're so... They do such a good job of connecting everything together. Again, this is a series that I constantly remind people, if you get into it, the more you invest in the lore, the greater you will get something out of it. And that is for the developers as well. They know this, so they're not being stingy on how big they can make the world and how immersive. And this is just like, you know, I'm sure this is what it is. Vessel of anima. But I mean, it may not be, but you know, Yuriev's new institute, right? Who knows? At the end, you find out Yuriev runs the school. He's like, this is Dmitry Yuriev, head of our school. Oh my gosh. While I enjoy these, it feels like I'm borderline going crazy because it feels like every time I predict something's gonna happen and it happens, I'm like, dang, I was right, but just in a way that I wouldn't think I would be. But he does that. He likes to put way out there, you know.
あいつ使えるぜ。小石なしで騎士の力。
生と死全てはアニマと共にある。
帰るのさ。あの場所に。
Right? This is the tutorial. What are you talking about? This is the flippin' tutorial. Another guy named Vandam dies at the beginning, and you have to send him another X square circle face.
6つの太陽に照らし出された大地。そこで人々は知ることになる。破れた神の恨みが未だ晴らされてはいない。
Yeah, that's yeah. But what's interesting is if you look at the wall here, the way they design it, it looks like the Mechonis or the Mechonis people. So if you look at the top left and the very top in the top corner up there, you can see this like pool around there. It sort of reminds me of like the Mechonis village, where like I don't even want to go there, but it also looks like a Bolivia in the center, right? The desert area from X. I don't know. And then you have like Caldros up above us, so like the typical like fire world. But you never know what any of this is, right? Because you don't know who they mean by fallen god. You don't know if that means Xenoblade X. You don't know if that means Xenosaga. You don't know if that means, you know what I mean? Like there's so many like fallen gods, Klaus. Like you don't know.